Hello everybody, my name is X Factor and I'm already missing this. The Battlefield 1 closed alpha has officially closed late last night or early this morning, depending on where in the world you are. But don't worry, open beta is coming soon. There are no official sources pinning down the dates, but there are rumors that will be starting after Gamescom. The question will be a week, a couple days, a couple weeks, but remember, the game comes out late October. So more than likely, it's going to be late July or August sometime. Again, giving the developers time to make further tweaks based on what they see in the open beta. And to get signed up for the open beta, all you have to do is one thing. Sign up for the EA Insider. I'm actually going to give you guys a link in the description down below to make sure you guys are on top of that. And again, it is an open beta. All are welcome as this guy is trying to jump through the sky. And pay attention on the enemy team. Got my buddies in here. We're streaming the other day, then all of a sudden everybody pointed out, oh hey, Matimio's in here. And then there's a level cap spotting as well. So things are going to get hot and hairy in this round very quickly. And today we're going to be talking about my thoughts about the Battlefield 1 alpha. The good, the bad, the ugly, and some of the things that I look forward to being tweaked or adjusted. But before we start breaking it all down, I want you to know this. I had an absolute blast. The game is a ton of fun. It's intense and it's addicting. I actually got all the way to level 76. I believe max rank in the alpha was 100. A couple people got there. But remember, DICE rebalanced the way points work in this game, and they nailed it. Now, the headshot distance marker is back for the scouts, recons, and snipers. We'll see if that stays. But the bread and butter to getting points is capping flags, defending flags, busting armor, busting planes, getting kills on flags, either attacking or defending. There's tons of points associated with that. There's times in which I've gotten 1,000 points just capping a flag all the way through, getting 1 or 2 kills because there's a bonuses associated with where you kill and do the killing from. So it highly rewards the team play, not to mention the winning bonus. You can get up to 8-9 grand if you actually win the round, which really speeds up the leveling process, especially with the war bonds, which is based around the XP. Now you're able to purchase unlocks that you want, and it's not really a systemic order like it used to be in previous Battlefield titles. And here you see me kind of contesting the B flag, but the last thing you want is somebody to leak out on the A flag and have to worry about 2 flags. So I really like what they did with the team play initiative. I think they hit that nail on the head. Maybe a couple tweaks are needed, but nothing much. And proof to that pudding is as we're attacking and defending all these flags this round, I'm actually going to get like 29,500 points, which is absolutely absurd. That is an absolute ton of XP and really helps you out depending on what you're trying to unlock. Now, the 3 combinations of weapon attachments are not available in the alpha. The developers have talked about pre-packaged attachment combinations. You'll be able to select from those. So it'll be interesting to see if those are in beta. So I start talking about the gunplay. You have to remember that. A lot of that stuff is not available just yet. And that might drastically change how some of these weapons do behave. But sniping in Battlefield 1 is the most fun I've had in a very long time. And most of you guys know this. I used to do AWP in CS Source at 1.6. I used to do the VSS in Bad Company 2. And then in Battlefield 3 and in Bad Company 2, I mostly played Medic and Engineer, healing people and just busting on armor. It was extremely effective because, again, I come from the competitive world, and even in pubs, I always gravitated towards shutting down the armor. Well, in Bad Company 1, the muzzle velocity was increased on the bolt actions. They did this sweet spot thing, which I actually really like with the sniper rifles. Everybody knows my preferred sniper rifle was the SMLE Mark III, the Smile. And it was the mid-range weapon, but didn't keep me from knocking people out across the map or sniping out 10 to 12 different pilots, not to mention their gunners. Most rewarding sniping I've done since Bad Company 2, but yet you can still be effective against armor. 2 different things. You can have a light armor grenade. You also have K-bullets, which do the same damage to infantry, but you only get so many of those, so you don't want to put one of those in somebody's mouth if you have time to switch over to your primary sniper rifle. And the name of the game is keep the vehicle from repairing. DICE put in a new mechanic where vehicles can take damage at high health numbers, so I might be disabled at 80 health. And I must do a full repair cycle till I can actually move my tank. It takes 5 or so seconds. And if I take any damage from a K-bullet, a normal grenade, an armor grenade, an AT rocket, artillery shell, another tank, it absolutely cancels that damage, let alone a bomber. So once a tank gets disabled, it's usually dead. Tanks are pretty strong, but like I said in my previous video talking about infantry versus armor balance, once infantry figure out how to play against armor, they get absolutely destroyed. I can't tell you how many tanks I saw go from 100 to 0 in a split second from just grenades, not to mention the AT rockets and artillery, or how many times I went into a 3-stack of buildings with my light tank and just absolutely disappeared like a bad magician's trick. Just what had happened was, and then all of a sudden you see everybody scurrying in the kill cam. So the sniping is great. You can be effective against armor, and you can absolutely lay the smackdown on infantry based on the increased muzzle velocity and the different type of sniper rifles available as a body goes flying for good measure there. The tanks feel pretty good. The scatter cannon, the shotgun shot, is pretty darn effective. The only question is that too strong, too far a range? Does it have too much range on it? I think maybe they should trade out some survivability for the armor for the distance on the scatter cannon. Again, if a tank gets disabled, they usually can't pillar out of the damage that's incoming. They're a sitting duck. They can't complete their repair, and they're basically just getting bombed on by everybody who's adjusted, has line of sight, or will get line of sight in a couple seconds. But it's nice that tanks are actually feared in the Battlefield franchise. Again, but as I talked about in my previous video, they're not as strong as most people thought because people simply didn't know how to deal with them. Interrupting that repair, continually piling on the damage is usually the death of them. Something else that felt pretty good was the actual shotguns in Battlefield 1. They're pretty strong, just like they were adjusted in Battlefield 4, which is good because DICE is going for the paper, rock, scissors of weapon selection. But some of the other weapons really fell short. I understand what DICE is trying to do. They're trying to make it so shotguns are king up close, then SMGs at that close to medium range, and everything kind of falls in there. They don't want SMGs and LMGs to be able to snipe people across the map unless the LMG is bipoded, but they really fell short. I couldn't find myself wanting to use an SMG. The only time I would bust out the assault kit is if there are that many vehicles up that we just need to bomb a couple vehicles off the map. Then I'd quickly switch back to the scout, aka sniper, where the AT rocket is a blast. Being able to carry up to 3 anti-armor grenades is awesome. You have your 2 primaries against vehicles, and you could switch out your normal grenade for a light one, which again would do 20 plus damage. So you're talking about making a tank disappear at point blank within a split second, not to mention if there's a second assault player. So there was my mistake. Got caught up in close quarters, obviously too many corners to guard, and all the grenades and everything else coming in. So the SMGs and the LMGs, they don't want the SMGs to be sniping people across the map, but I don't think they did it correctly. There's too much RNG, randomness. It feels more Battlefront and COD versus Battlefield, and there's different ways to deal with it. But right now in Battlefield 1 Alpha, you're actually rewarded for holding mouse button 1 with the SMGs and the LMGs. Instead of giving the SMGs massive recoil and damage drop off, they gave them this RNG spread, rewarding you for holding mouse button 1 because the penalty just basically disappears after a while. So I don't think it's working. Again, it feels more COD and Battlefront than Battlefield. Battlefield used to have a skill gap when using weapons. Well, with certain classes of weapons right now, that seems to have disappeared. Not to mention the LMGs. You want LMGs to be death machines when bipoded up? Well, just have them reduce all the recoil. How about increasing the recoil on LMGs? But again, getting rid of some of that RNG. Make the first or second shot pretty accurate. But it seemed like you'd hold down mouse button 1 and you'd go to spray a guy down and the bullets would just go around him. And tap firing did not work in Battlefield 1 Alpha because they basically redid it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with all the feedback which is on the forums and everybody kind of talking about the SMGs and LMGs to see if they get any love. But if they don't, I see myself doing a heck of a lot more sniping in Battlefield 1. Again, you can be effective against infantry and armor, but it'd be nice if some of those other classes were competitive as well. Battlefield 1 did a ton of stuff right. I really look forward to seeing what happens when the beta goes in open status. Are we going to get a new map, a new mode, a couple maps? Are we going to be rotating some of the weapon attachment combinations? I'm really excited. I've also had multiple conversations with developers via Twitter and Skype, and a lot of the bugs that I brought up or the bugs on the forums, they've already squashed, and they're already on to some new stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what they get built in from Battlefield 4 at the end. Remember, Dice LA was working on that, to what they get built in now, because Dice LA is working on Battlefield 1 as well. So some of the visual stuff and settings you look forward to using in Battlefield 4 should be available in Battlefield 1, hopefully in time for open beta. So what do you guys think about the alpha, the gunplay? What are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know down below. And always, guys, thanks for watching and hanging out. We'll see you guys soon.